Oh, okay. Well, hey. Hey, welcome back to the Better Days Rain podcast. My name is Shawn Daniell, and I'm the host. Man, and today we're gonna have a topic that everybody kind of already knows. We're gonna have that me versus me conversation, right? Because so many times we let external influences get in our heads, and we let it bring us down, and the world's at fault for everything that goes wrong in my life, man. And I was listening to some motivational stuff, and man, it's so true, right? At some point in our lives, when we decided to pick up the substance, when we decided to, let our lives go astray, man, we took that fight or flight mentality, right? And we chose to run. We chose to hide. We chose to put a mask on. And ultimately, we chose to be a coward in every form of fashion. Like, I'm just going to bust it down. Like, you chose to be a coward. And we come into the recovery setting, and we don't say this enough, man. Sobriety is simply the first step. And when you apply it to, say, other things like sports or chasing down dreams, it is simply the first step. And it's not even, if you're a boxer, you're not even getting in the ring yet. You're with your trainer, and you're training for the fight. The fight is the rest of your life, man. And we try to always come at recovery like it's, you got to take this big hit of humility and be all super humble and passive and bro, you are in a fight. You're in a fight for your life, and every day it's a fight. So whereas yes, it's great to be humble at times. Make no mistake, it's a war. It is a war, and you have to show up every day ready for war. You have to take that flight mentality, and you got to say, I'm not going to run. I'm not going to put the mask on. I'm not going to be a coward today. I'm going to face down everything. I'm going to be honest. I'm going to be truthful. You know what I'm saying? And I'm going to go to war. And I'm going to go to war with whatever I'm doing, with my drug addiction, with my career, whatever I'm doing in life. It is a battle. And everything we do. And oftentimes, you're going to run into these people who say, you can't do that. This is not you. You're going to fail. You're going to fail. Man, that is part of changing your life, bro. It's a personal growth experience. It's a living experience. It's for you, made for you. It's your program. People don't have to believe in you. You have to believe in you. And you have to push that shit to the limits. You have to push it, and push it. You can't stop. I see people come in here, and I ask them all the time, what is your goal? They say, man, to get sober. What's after that? I don't know. Well, then they're more than likely gonna fail in that mission. If sobriety is your goal, you're gonna fail. If that is it, you're gonna fail. There has to be something after. The fight has to continue. I look at the stuff going on overseas, and it was funny because I did an out loud prayer with me and my wife the other night, and I said, man, when all this really turns ahead, God, please, and I prayed for this, right? I prayed for this. I said, God, please, when it happens, let it happen when I'm young enough to fight for myself. Don't bring this fight to me when I'm too old to do anything about it. You know what I mean? Bring it to my doorstep when I'm strong enough, where I'm capable enough to defend myself. And I didn't realize it until this morning. He did. He answered my prayer. And he answered that prayer a long time ago. You know what I'm saying? He showed me what my fight is, and this is my fight. My fight is my sobriety. It's my recovery. It's my journey through life, my day-to-day grind. Man, if you are not on your hustle, then you are slipping. You have to be willing to stand up for yourself. You have to be willing to fight. Get in there. What does that take? That takes learning things I've never done before. That takes approaching life in a way I've never done before. That takes education, and it takes a lot of putting some faith in God and yourself. One thing that I've kind of learned about my spiritual journey, man, and this is something I think that the church does not speak enough about. We always talk about the glory of God, the love of God. And yes, all that is true. To my understanding, God's an entity that opens doors, right? He will open up doors for me to run through, but I have to run through it. God's not going to sit there and do everything for you. Maybe will he do some things for you? Absolutely. Do miracles happen? Absolutely. But when it really boils down to it, God's going to open up a door, and it's up to you to cross that threshold. It's up to you to move forward and continue walking that way. You know, there's so many people that have lost their faith because we've put this image that God's going to do it all for you. God's just going to do everything for you for the rest of your life. And we've really made people lazy in that sense of the word. Like, we have made people lazy and really turned people away from God because we put this image that he's going to do everything. No, he's going to open up a door. He's a provider, right? He's going to bring it to the table, but it's up to you to do something with it, right? A lot of people don't want to put that effort in. They don't want to put that work in. They don't want to do that day-to-day grind. They don't have the willingness to push themselves to the limits. And what I've learned over this last year, when you push yourself to the limits, you really learn that you really don't have limits, that it's continued growth. It's just continued, right? Don't everything come in my time. And I'm thankful for it, right? It's been one of the hardest years of my life. One of the hardest years of my life, hands down. But I am absolutely grateful for it. Why? Because I have good family connections today. I have a path today. I have a mission. Boy, let's talk about a mission. Man, every man needs a mission in life. Every man. If you don't know what you're going to be doing 5 years from now, 10 years from now, if you don't have any goals, dreams, ambition, then you can expect to be exactly where you are and never move. You have to be willing to put the work in, and we don't talk about that enough, whether it's in our church life, our family life, and there's going to be people who are going to try to talk you out of it. There's going to be people who are going to doubt you. You're going to doubt yourself. At times, man, I can't tell you how many times I've doubted my mission and my ambition, and I'll go like, man, is this really going to work? And somebody comes at me, they're like, bro, you need to just like jump ship, abandon, run. And sometimes I want to. Sometimes I want to. Sometimes I'm like, you know what? They're right, man. This really ain't gonna go nowhere or do nothing. And then it seems like almost always, when you're at that point of giving up, it's almost like right there, God will open up a door for you to run through. But again, you got to run through it. You got to quit using hiccups, slips, falls, relapses, all those things as excuses to not put work in and continue to do better for yourself. You know what I'm saying? I could not tell you how many times I've relapsed on my addiction journey. It's been that many times. Could not tell you, can't even come close to tell you how many times I've relapsed and the depths of those relapses, right? But it's not about failing. It's not about getting knocked down. It's about getting hit and getting back up. It's about throwing as many freaking punches as you can until your hands are 100-pound weights and you can't fight no more. And then you muster it and continue to fight. It's okay to get knocked down in round 1. It's okay to get knocked down in round 2. It's okay to get knocked down at the end of round 10. But you have got to get back up. You've got to get back up, and you've got to continue fighting. And if you lose, come back and get some more tomorrow. You know, I had that mentality when I used to get my butt whooped as a teenager. You know what I'm saying? I used to tell people all the time, if they got the best of me, bro, don't think this is over. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got me today. As soon as my face heals up, I'm going to be back. You know, and that's how you have to treat your recovery, the same way. As soon as I lick my wounds, I'm back. I'm coming back, and I'm coming back stronger. I'm coming back harder. I'm taking what I've learned, and I'm applying it to my life. Application. You cannot simply walk into an AA room and listen to everybody talk and walk out of there and continue living your life in the same manner. It takes taking what you learn and applying it to life. It's the same way you do in college. It's the same way a child learns how to walk. You take what you learn and you have to apply it. If you do not apply it, does not work. If you do not put the work in, it does not work. You have to be willing to take the steps, one foot in front of the other. And it's okay to not know where you're going to land. It is absolutely okay. It is okay to have that what if out there, right? As long as you are doing the next right thing. Oftentimes, the Lord provides. You know what I'm saying? God will open up doors. You have to be willing. You can't just sit around and wait for an opportunity to arise. You have to create your own opportunity. You have to create it. You have to find a way. And if you don't know how, you have to ask somebody. And that's the beautiful part about it. I don't have to do this alone. That's the greatest part about it. We oftentimes feel like we have to fight things alone, whether, this war inside my head that fills my head with all this negative crap. And we feel like we have to bottle it up until it blows up. No, I can go lay that on somebody. I can go somewhere. I can talk to people, but I have to do that, right? I have to be willing to do that. If I'm not willing to do that, it eats me up alive. I internalize it. Next thing you know, I'm hating the world. I'm doing all kinds of things that I know I should not be doing. Right? So you have to have a voice. Everyone, man, the power of testimony is so powerful. And I've learned that through doing the podcast and being a mentor in the community of Amarillo, man. Like, the power of testimony is super powerful. People don't know what they don't know. People can't help you if they don't know there's a problem. You know what I mean? You have to be willing to put yourself out there in a way that's not toxic and destructive. Now, there are people you should absolutely not go air your business to. Yeah, there really is. There's people you shouldn't tell a word to, right? And it's up to you to notice them people. It's up to you to discern, right, who's good for you in your life and who's bad for you. And we all know that, right? It's that gut feeling in the pit of your stomach that says, man, when I get a gut feeling about somebody, I rock with it. I don't even play with it anymore. If I start feeling left about somebody, I ain't messing with it. Does it mean I got to go slander them, trash talk them, you know what I'm saying? Do all the things to try to kill their image in the street? No, does not. Does not mean I have to do that in one bit. It just simply says, man, me and you ain't on the same wave, bro. And you have 3 options in life. 3 options. This is how I see it. You can either make a wave, you can ride somebody else's wave, or you can sink. Those are your options. Well, what does that look like in real life? Make a wave, man, you chase whatever dream it is you have, and you max it out, right? That's why I said something I don't understand about people in sobriety, bro. They get sober to live the same type of life. To live the same type of life that they were living before they got sober. Me personally, I couldn't do that, right? I had to sit there and say, God saved my life. I don't know how many times, to the point of today, I feel like I'm on extra time. That's how close I came to death at some points. I feel like I'm on extra time. What am I going to do with it? Because he didn't save me so I could continue to keep putting trash in the world. He didn't save me so I could stay a heroin addict. He didn't save me so I could keep being selfish and taking advantage of people and running everybody else's lives through the mud. He saved me because he saw something in me. He saved, and it's the same way when people latch on to you in recovery. They see something in you. You take it and you run with it. You run with it. You have to be able to be willing to run with it. Man, then we go to point 2. You ride somebody else's wave. If you ain't got the courage to stand up and fight, if you ain't got the courage to do something that nobody else is doing or to really max yourself out, well, that's your second option. Go get a job. Go do what everybody else is doing. You'll find it to be, it'll take care of you, but will it fulfill you in your mission? Will you feel content with the way your life is riding somebody else's wave? No, you won't. Again, you're putting yourself back at a high risk for relapse. You're putting yourself back in them same situations. And then you have your third option, which is relapse, crash, burn, sink, which is where I got sober. I had no mission after that. Didn't have the courage to ride nobody else's wave, or didn't have the courage to make my own wave. Wasn't cool riding somebody else's wave. So now I'm just going to throw it all away and do it all over again. I've seen that happen too many times. People get these long stretches of sobriety and they take the first mediocre thing that comes to them, right? And they feel hugely unsatisfied with the result. They say, oh, this is what I got sober for. I got sober to work at a gas station. I got sober to mow yards. I got sober to be the same miserable person I was before I got sober. And then they fall. It may take a little bit, some quicker than others, but they fall. Man, you really have to embrace the essence of change. Change is inevitable. When we stay fixed in what is, and we hear it all the time, leopards can't change their spots. Leopards can't change their spots. Leopards are leopards. They'll always be leopards. Right? I'm telling you right now, that is not true. I am not a leopard. And I don't even know what I would consider. I'm like a chameleon or something. You know what I'm saying? I'm constantly changing. You know what I mean? Like constantly, you know, for people who are in fixed mindsets, for people who think life is never going to change, this is it, this is how it's always going to be, you're a leopard. You're absolutely a leopard, and you will forever be a leopard as long as you think like that. If that is your mindset, that is where you'll forever be. But if you can flip your mindset to a growth standpoint where things do change, because change is inevitable. Change is going to happen on a day-to-day basis. You have to be willing, you have to learn how to become so comfortable with change that you almost like fiend for it the same way you would drugs, right? I want that change. I want that change. When we go into the rooms of recovery and we see somebody who's doing really great and we say, I want what he has. You know, we hear it all the time. I want what he has, right? That's change. That's that change. That's the change we're talking about, the growth that we're talking about. You know, when someone takes the old person that they used to be and throws it in the trash and creates an entirely new person. When you can come to the realization that, you know what, everything about me is flawed, everything, and adopt a new way of life and say, and really max that out to its maximum potential, you know what I'm saying? You're going to find that you are capable of a lot, right? And God does have a plan. God, I'm a firm believer. God does have a plan. And why does it not look like that? Well, because a lot of times I want to do what I want to do. A lot of times I want to go crash, right? I want to do the things that I know I'm not supposed to do. I want to treat people poorly. Man, and I want to get on this topic too. Man, like this is a disease that starts out as a social disease. Yes, it turns into a chemical imbalance in the brain. Yes, it does a lot of physical harm. But this disease stems directly from how I treat myself and how I treat others, and vice versa, right? And it's so often that we come into these rooms and we get these revelations about ourselves and we get this aha moment to where we're like, oh my God, I know how to fix myself, right? I know all the things I need to do to fix me now. But then we still go out there and we still treat people like nothing ever changed. You know, I've had to look at some things and go, what is the problem right now in a lot of our society, man? And it starts at an individual level. And, you know, oftentimes that starts in an AA room. You know what I mean? Like everyone needs AA. I'll be honest. AA is a great place to learn about yourself, right? But then you take what yourself and you apply it to the world. And what we do is we apply it to ourselves, but we don't to the world. So if I am my problem coming into recovery, right? We are our problem in the world. If you applied recovery concepts to everything you do in life, it would change. The world would change. The world would change, right? But it takes more than just me doing it. It takes more than just you doing it. We got to get everybody to do it. Everyone has to come around to that realization that we treat each other horribly. You know, we live in a country where we have the highest incarcerated per capita rate of any other nation in the world, right? Is that because we have bad people? No. That's because we have chosen to separate ourselves from people. There is a clear line of division in our country at this moment. We don't identify as Americans. You're either a Republican, a Democrat, a liberal, or whatever. Like, you know what I'm saying? We have all of these boxes that we want to put each other in to separate ourselves from things we know nothing about. Right? We want to fear the unknown instead of facing the unknown. Right? I've known a lot of people, man, that are doing huge stints in prison. Not bad people. Not bad people. And as a matter of fact, in my own prison time, you know, there's been people in prison that were some of the best people I ever met. Hands down. But we separate ourselves from them. And then we shame them and we guilt them. And then we let them out of prison. We give them this record to where they're forever going to be a bottom of the barrel type person, you know, and it's the people who choose to rise that make it. But your average Joe Blow, he goes right back to addiction. He goes right back to doing the same things he was doing because we as a society don't leave them options or very little option. You know, I'm very grateful for the situation or for what God has put in my life, right? And I know that not a lot of people get the opportunity that I have, right? Which makes me incredibly grateful for me because I have people in my corner today that that help support my mission, right? They support my growth. They stand beside me, and it's those people that have really kept me alive, kept me from going back to prison, kept me from wanting to mess up, right? Push me. They push me to be a better person. I fully understand not everyone has that. And it's the people who don't have that or the people who fall back into the cycle, you know, and you know, these last 2 years have been the hardest years of my life, but they have been the absolute most rewarding. And for my personal growth, how I treat people, man, like I used to be angry and pissed all the time. And today I'm very humble. You know what I'm saying? Now, don't get me wrong. I'm ready for that day to day fight. Like I'm ready for that day to day grind. Like I don't back down anymore. You know, I used to, you know, always back down on myself. I talked myself out of something before I ever even got started. You know, and today you're gonna have to really, you know, show me that I'm going the wrong way before I back out on something anymore. 2 years ago, I decided that I was gonna make my life about commitments. I was gonna commit myself to Jesus Christ. I was gonna commit myself to my wife. I was gonna commit myself to a mission, and no matter what it looks like at the end of any particular day, the next day I'm going to wake up and I'm going to continue that mission. I'm not going to slow down. I'm not backing up no matter what challenge is in front of me. And those challenges always change. Life always evolves. It's never going to stop. Never going to stop. Your problems today are going to be different than your problems tomorrow, and those are going to be different than your problems for a year from now, right? The idea is to not run from them, it's to face them. It's not to avoid them, it's to get in the ring with them. You know, it's the same way with our fears. A lot of times we want to run from things that scare us. No, you got to get in the ring with it, man. You got to get in the ring with it, and you got to be willing to fight. And I'm going to make this kind of a quick episode, but, I just wanted people to know that God is with you. You can get people behind you, but you have to be willing to fight. It starts off as a journey that you're going to step into absolutely 100% by yourself. It's designed that way. It is designed for you to take the first step on your own, right? The sobriety mission, that mission is yours. But once you reach that point where you are sober, the real fight starts. No more exhibition bouts. Now you're getting in the ring with life. And your program of recovery has now become your program of life. Never stops. Always evolves. You have to be willing to jump in the ring with it and fight it day to day the rest of your life. That's all I got. This is Better Days Rain. Have a good day.